Hello everybody and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we'll be doing a box office preview for this upcoming weekend, which sees the wide release of Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. Oh, and Warner Brothers continuing to censor its content abroad, showing that whenever it tries to stand up for so-called social justice issues, it is just, it's full of it. It's full of it, as are all of the major companies, because all of them are willing to make deals with various countries, including the Communist Party of China. Someone got triggered in one of my videos when I mentioned the Communist Party of China, so I will bring them up once again because they need to be called out just like any other tyrannical government across the world, and any major studio that does dealings with them should indeed be called out. Warner Brothers is just one of the big offenders. Of course, Disney up there as well, Sony, Paramount, they all are all in bed with the Communist Party, and it is sad and sickening. But anyway, Fantastic Beasts has the opening weekend of this weekend, where Sonic the Hedgehog 2 will come in at weekend number 2, having a suspected 50% drop, so a very strong hold for that film, doing very well there. And also the release of Father Stew, which I got to see last night. If you want to see my initial reaction and review, it is posted last night. Apologies if any of the audio is not all that great. I found out that my the vlog camera that I've had for a long time got fixed, should be back today, so I'm hoping to be able to use that more in the future for other videos for the channel, and also, of course, in my movie reviews going forward. But anyway, before going any further into this bit of news about the box office, please make sure you smash that like button, light up that fire button if you're watching over on Odyssey, and also make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with that bell notification turned on. That way you know every time a new video or live stream goes live on the channel. So we indeed have the opening weekend of Fantastic Beasts 3, The Secrets of Dumbledore. The secret is not so secret. Apparently, there's some gay scenes that happen in the film, and they have taken those scenes out for its release in China, which is not all that surprising because that's what they've done continuously, which just goes to show that Warner Brothers are a bunch of hypocrites, just like all of the major Hollywood studios, right? They will criticize Russia, they will withhold their films from Russia, claiming human rights violations, while at the same time releasing their films in communist China, where the CCP is constantly violating human rights and killing people, doing all kinds of atrocious things. And also, they will go ahead and try and, change their icons on their Twitter profiles and everything like that to rainbow flags and everything during Gay Pride Month. But when it comes to their actual films, and they're like, oh, look, we're pushing this agendas, and then when they release it in other countries where that might actually have an impact, they pull them. They allow the censors to cut them, or they allow the censors' influence to push them to cut these scenes from their films. And so therefore you have to ask the question of, why is it that these studios continue to go uncriticized by so many? It's one thing to say, hey, well then, don't support these people at all anymore. It's like, well, yes, I would agree, but it's also hard to completely stop ourselves supporting anybody. I mean, I'm critical of communist China, and yet at the end of the day, I recognize that there are parts in my phone, there are parts in my computer, there are parts, again, in most technology that unfortunately comes through and comes from China. So the question is, what do we do to try and bring about that change of culture? What do we do to try and make sure that we pressure these studios, pressure these major companies to start moving away from that labor there in those countries? So again, it's a little bit more nuanced than just stop buying, because again, stop buying from everything that has ever gone through and ever will go through China. Good luck. Anyway, Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore, $44.1 million suspected opening weekend. So not looking very good. If we remember from the last video, I believe the last film, the second film, opened up to around 55 to $58 million. And so this would be a continued, again, law of diminishing returns for this film. So seems very likely that this will indeed be another, I would not be surprised if another $200 million drop from film to film, just like between the first and second film. I would not be surprised if another $200 million drop between the total end of the second film and this film, which would mean this film is on the break and on the way to being a financial flop for Warner Brothers, which is not all that surprising, and not surprising especially with all the controversy going on. Couldn't have opened up during a better time when Johnny Depp's defamation lawsuit against Amber Heard is going on, because that is just bringing everyone's attention, or a lot of people's attention, to the limelight of exactly why it was that Johnny Depp was canceled, and why it is that probably he shouldn't have been canceled, and the lies surrounding it, and the mistruths surrounding it, or the half-truths surrounding it. And ultimately, people, if they have a thought about or want to know my opinion about the case, to me, I see two Hollywood elites fighting against each other, and I think that both of them should be accountable for whatever actions either of them have done. I don't think one is the good guy or one is the bad guy in this scenario. I think, again, they're both Hollywood elites, all, dealing with their own problems and demons, and I hope that they get help, but I hope that whatever crimes or whatever evils that they have done, that all of it comes to light and is exposed. And obviously Amber Heard's has been, let's just say that she's been treated with kid gloves for the most part, whereas Johnny Depp has been kind of raked over the coals. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, in its second week of release, is expected to make around $36 million. That's a 50% hold from the previous week, or a 50% drop from last week, meaning its entire domestic total will be up to $129.7 million. So this film is well on its way to being an over $200 million domestic film, likely meaning that this film will easily be able to hit its break-even point over the next week or so, if not by the end of this weekend, depending on how it does internationally. So again, $36 million, very strong hold there. And if Fantastic Beasts does not deliver, again, not too far off here. Again, about $10 million separation between these two films. We'll have to wait and see exactly what they are going to be able to pull out, especially since this is a very unique weekend, as it is Easter weekend. By the way, blessed Holy Thursday, everybody. Blessed beginning of the Easter Triduum. And that is going to make a lot of these films that are coming out and how they do pretty interesting. I do think that this number here for Father Stu, $6.2 million for the 3-day opening. Keep in mind, it did open last night. So again, I did get to see it last night, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I gave it an A-, solid film. And I think that even though this is a rated R film, even though there's a lot of foul language in the film, this will probably do better than what is projected, is at least my own personal thought, because of the fact that it is still a religious film. It is still a religiously inspired film, I think is a better way of describing it, because I would not call this a religious film, meaning one that you could like show in your classroom or show at your church or anything, because there is, again, a lot of foul language, because it's all about the story of redemption. It's all about the story of this guy who starts off as an alcoholic, has a lot of problems in his personal life, and then slowly through the course of meeting this one woman, and slowly through the course of faith impacting his life, you start to see this change of heart, this metanoia, this changing from evil to good. And I think that that's going to resound with a lot of people, especially over this Easter weekend, especially over this, as many of us, especially I think adult audiences, are going to be able to connect with it. So people of faith, people not even not of faith, like even if you're not a person of faith, you understand the story of redemption, and you understand the human story and the human struggle, and that's what this film is all about. And so I think it's going to do very well, and it's going to resound very well with a lot of people, whether religious or not. But there's no denying that there is a religious component to this film, and so I think that, and I would not be surprised if this film did a little bit better than expected, because typically they normally, from when it comes to films with any type of religious undertones, they typically will under market, or they will under project it, and then it'll do a lot better, especially when it's going on over a very major religious holiday, right, with Easter this coming weekend, and of course the Easter Triduum. So I would not be surprised if a lot of people go to see that film. Lost City is still hanging around, but really, what else can be said about the film? Just continuing not to make that much money, dropping 36%. Morbius, another 51%. So after its massive 70+% from the previous week, this film is not holding very well at all. So this film, let's just say that the guaranteed profits that I thought this film was going to get are now starting to be a bit in question, as if this number is very correlative to what it's doing internationally. It's not good news for Morbius going on. Ambulance is set to drop 48%, which is not a terrible drop-off. However, it has not made a whole lot of money. And to be honest, I'm not that surprised by it. The shaky cam in the film just drives me insane, and actually made me feel bad. Like, it actually gave me a headache. It was so bad. So again, the story is there, or at least half a decent story is there. The unfortunate side is that the cinematography is just complete trash. Batman still holding on even after several weeks. 36% drop. Uncharted then finishing off these charts, dropping another 47%. So this film is on its way out, but it's already made its money back. And so there is that. The one issue that I could talk about as far as being able to project anything when it comes to the success of these films is that we don't yet have a production budget for Father Stu. I cannot imagine that it's going to be a very a very expensive film. Again, it's definitely has that independent feel to it. But I just want to say something. I don't know if I really stressed this last night in my review, but seriously, the cast in this film is so fantastic. You got Mark Wahlberg, Mel Gibson. I didn't even mention Jackie Weaver, who is one of the most underrated actresses working in Hollywood today. I mean, she is phenomenal. Like, going back even to Animal Kingdom, where she played the matriarch of this crime family, she was phenomenal. Of course, Silver Linings Playbook, where she got some recognition for that. She is just so good, and she plays such a great job as the character of Father Stewart's mother, and there's just so many great lines between her and her son, and her just not understanding, and really that family dynamic is just so great between Wahlberg, Weaver, and Gibson. And then also, of course, Teresa Ruiz, I thought, did a really great job as Carmen in the film, as well as everyone, I think, did a pretty solid job. So I just wanted to, again, sing the praises of this film, as I do think it's an important one for our times. It's kind of like a modern telling, and in a lot of ways, there's correlations that this life story of this man who became a priest, Father Stu, it's kind of like a modern telling of a, like, not necessarily a saint, but very similar to the stories of like a St. Augustine or a St. Ignatius of Loyola, where it's, again, people who lived a very precarious life, very sinful life, but then had this conversion, had this change of heart over this period of time, and these different things influencing them. And so it's really cool to see that. Of course, also Mark Wahlberg's own personal journey from going through something similar, and finding faith, and obviously finding faith in family as well. I think it's very important. And then also a shout out to the director here, Rosalind Ross. I don't really know that much about Rosalind Ross. Directorial debut. Hey, you know what? Solid job here. And you know what's interesting is I would not be surprised if this film is going to get ignored because of its Catholic undertones and because of its faith-based undertones, but it has a female director. So this would be, if this film was about almost any other topic, especially a woke topic, this film would be getting so much praise. This film would be getting so much attention. But just one interesting fact about that, because it doesn't really even matter that this film is written or directed by a female, because it doesn't, again, it comes across as a good, solid film, and that's what it should. We should not be thinking about these things as that was a good film directed by a woman, or this was a good film directed by a man. It's like, no, is it a good film or is it not a good film? And I think that this is a very solid film. I don't think Fantastic Beasts is going to be. I think that there's been already a lot of really negative reactions to this film, a lot of negative press. Remember that this is a film that is it's quite costly. $200 million. It's made $58 million so far because it did have a early release in various marketplaces, but there's just so much going on, I think, in the limelight surrounding this film that's going to have a very negative impact upon it. Not to mention the fact that the films have not been very good. I think the first one people just kind of like put up with, but at this point, I think that anyone who's still like holding on to this is kind of is kind of fooling themselves in a lot of ways, because it's not a very well thought out universe. This is clearly a universe that was not well thought out, not planned, regardless of what J.K. Rowling might say or anyone else might say. And I think it really just goes to show in the actual films themselves, which have just gotten progressively worse. But also, too, if you just look at... let's go ahead and just look at these films and compare them to each other. So the first film, obviously it was the first post Harry Potter, but still in the Harry Potter universe. So something that was very important, for a lot of people. And it made $811.7 million, which is not that surprising at all. But then you compare that to... some of the other films that it came out. Let's go ahead and do this live. So let's go ahead and pull up The Crimes of Grindelwald. Let's go ahead and adjust for inflation. And then let's now also add in the recent Fantastic Beasts, now that we have an idea of what this film will end up making in its opening. So as you can see, progressively, it's gotten worse over time. Let me make sure that there we go. Let's make sure that inflation number's there. So again, $190 million to $200 million to another $200 million film. We now have the opening day of the film. So first Friday for, or rather the projected opening weekend for it. So the opening weekend for Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them was $78 million. Fantastic Beasts 2 was $62 million. So that's actually, again, adjusted for inflation, actually a lot better. So these were the opening weekend numbers. And so this is projected to do only $44 million. So as you can see, another $20 million drop-off between films. Again, if that percentage holds as far as the actual domestic number is concerned, then we can expect that this domestic total box office is probably going to be almost barely over $100 million. I mean, probably looking at $120 to $130 million potentially. And then you take that internationally, and if you see a similar drop-off there as well, yeah, you're looking at a $400 million so film, and this is a film that needs to make around $500 million to break even. So not looking good for this franchise, and I can't say that I'm that surprised or that upset by it, because I think this is a film that deserves to, just because, this is not becoming, I obviously haven't seen the film, so I can't really judge the film specifically, but I can judge the franchise. And when even my wife, who loves the Harry Potter books, who was okay with the first film and thought it was intriguing and interesting, looked at me after the second film and said, wow, that wasn't very good, or wow, that was awful. That speaks to me volumes, and I think that this film, The Secrets of Dumbledore, is one that is just not going to get a lot of attention for that very reason. But anyway, what are y'all's thoughts about these numbers? Do you think Fantastic Beasts is going to be a massive flop? I think it definitely has that potential to do so. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, do you think that this film is going to end up hitting its break-even point by the end of this weekend? I definitely think that it is possible for this film to be able to do so. Let's go ahead and try and see if we can pull up the current box office numbers for the film. Right now, it's at $151 million, so it'll be well beyond 250, probably getting close to $300 million once those international numbers update. So getting very close to its own break-even number. Again, it was a $90 million production budget. Right now, it's 1.7 times its budget. It needs to hit that 2.5 times the budget to hit the break-even point. So it's very, very close, and I think it'll get... if not to 2.2, 2.3, then 2.5 or beyond by the end of this weekend. And if not this weekend, then the end of next weekend. So what are y'all's thoughts about that? Also, Father Stu, are you excited for Father Stu? Have you seen Father Stu? Let me know your thoughts about that as well in the comment section down below. If you like this video, smash that like button, lap that fire button on Odyssey. Y'all are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless. And now for a huge shout out to all of my April Patreon, Subscribe Star, and Locals members. Starting off with Patreon with Animation Commentator, Brandon, let's go Brandon, Brian P., Christopher Bowman, Father Christopher Miller, Hail to you, Father, Father Damian Cook, Garrett Searles, Harold Francis, Hymir Ari Hymeson, Inflamed Wood, Jacob from Holland, Jeff Toon, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Gomer Kyle 79, Laura, the Modern Major General Story, Mike Jackson, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mondo Spieler, Mr. Peabody, On to June, Orange Hat Reviews, Priscilla Hall, Rosella Allen, Stan Andrian, Miss Martin Muses, Theodore Bendon, Tina Bojan, and Tina B., the Empress of the Universe. Thank you very much for supporting me over on Patreon. And also to my Subscribe Star peeps, Matt317, Storm Tracker, The R, Fast Reaction, Nosferatu Gatsu, Stan 4, John B., Mr. Roy, Glinzer, J. Alice McCarthy Jr., Dean Heiss, J-Rod the Beer Guru, and ZK Man. And also a huge shout out to my Locals members, starting off with Kara Tharp, K Tharp 56. Also, UAB, Mad Dog, Mike Jackson, Robert Barnes, and also a huge support as well to Brett D90. Thank you very much for supporting me over on Locals. Thank you again to everyone for supporting the channel. Please, if you want your name shouted out at the end of every live stream and video, go ahead and check out the top link at the video description. It is my Willow link, as I like to describe it, and it brings you to a link tree where you get access to all of these different locations, as well as all of the various social media platforms that you can follow me on. If you join at the Citizen of Asgard level, you get your name shouted out at the end of every single live stream and video. Army of Asgard level gets you that, plus you get access to a giveaways channel that I have on Discord. If you ever don't have access to that giveaways channel, please contact me. I do send out the link to the Discord and with the instructions on it at the beginning of every single month. But if you don't have access to that giveaways channel where I'm giving away 4Ks and Blu-rays and all that kind of stuff, as much as I possibly can give away is available there. Please just reach out to me and I will gladly walk you through the process to make sure you get access to that giveaways channel. And again, that is, Army of Asgard level, whether you be on Patreon, Subscribe Star, or on Locals. Also, if you are the Keeper of the Bifrost level, you get access to all of that. Plus, you get access to a podcast that I do with John the Flick Pick Flickinger. We try and do it once or twice a month. I think we're going to try and do it twice this month to make up for some miscommunication that we had last month. So be on the lookout for that, and look out for those podcast Q&A posts that are always available on the Patreon main page, the Subscribe Star main page, on the YouTube side of things as well. The YouTube community tab, you'll always find the podcast Q&A there, and also on the Locals page as well. And if you join at the Chosen of Valhalla level, the highest of the levels, you get access to all of that. Plus, if it's your first month, you get a free t-shirt, any t-shirt you want from my Teespring, my TeePublic, whichever one you want to get it from. You just let me know the size, location I'm sending it to, color, that kind of stuff. You get it sent to you. Plus, you get to be featured once a month on the Chosen of Valhalla live stream, where we all come together and just talk about movies and really anything the Chosen want to talk about, and it is a lot of fun. Anyway, thank you all very much for your love and for your support. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless.